And we are live. The Profit Report with AB and Steve. And we got a good one for you guys today, man. Still continue on with the Weapons Week, Guns Week, Missiles Week, whatever you want to call it. We're covering another big boy today, man. This is a company that I've been eyeing for so many years. Lockheed Martin. Really, at least the times that I've looked at in the past, um, a high performing stock, a company that's responsible for inventing the most complicated weapons in US history, and one of the big dogs in the weapons industry outside of Raytheon. There's a few others, but Lockheed is one of those top dogs in there. That's what we're going to be covering today, guys. This is going to be a learning session where we're going to learn together about the company. What do they do? How is their financial performance? And then we're also going to look at their stock as well. So I hope you guys are ready. I got my robe on today, man. Cold. I feel like it's winter already, man. So we about to get started. I got my tea. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, man, we're gonna get started right with Lockheed Martin, baby. On a Monday night, we're gonna start off with a ball. And in case you guys don't know what Lockheed Martin is, gonna have AI help us. So let's say top inventions and product span. Well, let's start from the beginning. Let's dive deeper. Let's talk about the inception first. Lockheed background and inception and key milestones. So it was formed in 1995 between a merger of Lockheed Corporation and Martin Marietta, two aerospace giants with origins stretching back to the early days of aviation. Its history is defined by aviation innovation, rapid response, secret projects, skunk works, space exploration, and industry consolidation. So they go all the way back to 1912. The brothers Allen and Malcolm later changed to Lockheed, founded the Alco Hydro Airplane Company in San Francisco in 1913. This is around the First World War One. The Model G seaplane, the first successful aircraft, took its inaugural flight on San Francisco Bay. Hold on, is this around the same time? When was the airplane invented? I thought, did they have? Hold on, when was? Oh, 1903. Okay, so they were very early too. So 1913, they already had a flying plane, seaplane. Between 1916 to 1920, the brothers renamed their business Lockheed Aircraft Manufacturing Company and developed aircraft. However, the post-World War One market led to bankruptcy. In 1926, Alan Lockheed, along with other investors, founded the new Lockheed Aircraft Company in Hollywood. 1932, it was purchased by brothers Roberts and Cortland Groves for 40,000. And then okay, so then now they're showing us the other company that they merged with. What was their history? That was initially started in 1912, and between 1913 to 1961, they also developed a whole bunch of military and commercial aircraft. All right, so what is Skunk Works? The genesis of Lockheed's famed Skunk Work division came during World War II, led by engineer Clarence Kelly Johnson. Tasked by the so 1943. So this is during World War II. Tasked by the Army Air Force to secretly develop a jet fighter to compete with Germany's advances, Johnson and a small team operated out of a circus tent next to a plastics factory in Burbank, California. Origin of the name, the smell from the nearby factory led engineers to jokingly name their workspace the Skunk Works, inspired by a location. The name stuck, evolving into Skunk Works. In just 143 days, the team delivered America's first operational fighter prototype. Damn, that's a short turnaround. And then 1954, during the Cold War, the C-130 Hercules transport aircraft first flew and remains in production today. 1955, the U-2 high altitude reconnaissance aircraft was developed under a CIA contract. It flew higher than Soviet radar could reach at the time. In 1956, Lockheed received a contract to develop the Polaris submarine launched ballistic missile. 1964, 1971, after facing significant debt, Lockheed was granted a $250 million loan guarantee by the US government to save the company. Dang. You can see how important they are to the government, even back then. In 1976, a bribery scandal came to light, revealing the company paid bribes to secure military aircraft contracts in other countries. 1981, F-117 Nighthawk, the world's first operational stealth aircraft, had its first flight. So then they merged in 1995. Then 2001, this is around the invasion of Afghanistan. Lockheed Martin won the Joint Strike Fighter program, leading to the development of the F-35. Oh, so 2015, they acquired the helicopter manufacturer Sikorsky, which is like, I think they're like one of the first ones to build helicopters. So they got them from United Technologies. In 2020, they still continue to lead in next generation aerospace and defense technologies. So this is a little background about them. Let's look at their stock first before we dive into the financial. I'm on Yahoo Finance. Currently, their stock is trading at $459. And over the last year, it did take a little bit of a hit. Well, little is a understatement. They did take actually a good amount of hit because October 7th of 2024, they were trading at $605. They closed at $605, and now it's currently trading at $459. Over the past 5 years, so in 2020, it was trading at 386. Now it's trading at 458. Not a huge come up, but at times it has gone almost double, where it was worth. But financially, if we look at, so first of all, the beta is below 1. The beta, in case you guys don't know, that shows you how volatile a stock is, and a beta of 0.26 is very low. And just to kind of give you guys a better idea, what is a beta of a stock indicate? So stock beta indicates its relative volatility compared to the overall market. A beta of 1 means the stock moves with the market. A beta greater than 1 signifies higher volatility in a risk, and a beta less than 1 indicates lower volatility. So, if it's, for example, so if the stock market is doing well and you have a beta of 1, then that stock also moves with the stock market, the overall stock market. But a beta greater than 1, even if the stock market is doing well, that stock might not do so well because it has a higher beta. It's just a volatile stock. So beta less than 1 indicates lower volatility, which is even better. Um, so that's what the definition is as far as what beta is concerned. So you look at it as about 0.26. And just to kind of, so if we dive a little bit deeper, and you always got to use AI to help you. What would a beta of 0.26 signify? That was 0.26. So we see a stock with a beta of 0.26 signifies that it's considerably less volatile than the overall market. So if the market S&P 500 moves by a certain percentage, the stock is expected to move on average only 26% of that amount in the same direction. For instance, if the market rises by 1%, the stock would likely increase by 0.26%. So if there is a positive stock market rise, then you also don't get that benefit. So that's what it means with volatility, though. Um, you also don't get to experience the high gains, but you would get a steady increase. But if there is a huge decline, you also don't face that as well. So look, so then if the market falls by 5%, the stock would likely fall only by 1.3%. PE ratio is trading at 25 times its earning, which is not that expensive. This shows you how expensive the stock is trading. And look at the EPS, man. Earning per share, it is making 17 bucks per share. That is the highest one I've seen. In all the companies we reviewed, this is the highest earning per share that I've seen. Dividend yield 2.85. That's not that high. And then analysts are estimating it to be 476 bucks. It's currently trading at 458. So I was just looking at their leadership. So this is their CEO, chief operating officer, and I was like, oh, let me see if they got black people in their company. And the last time I checked this company years ago, they don't have no black people in their company, but now I noticed they do have some because they have the president of Rotary and Mission Systems. Bam. They do got some diversity. They don't really have a lot of women. They got one woman over here. This doesn't have to do anything with their financials, but this is just something I was curious about. Look at, they got a second guy right here, senior vice president, ethics and enterprise assurance. And I looked at some of these people's profile too. Impressive. Like this guy right here, man, graduated. Like, you ever seen the movie Top Gun? Like, he graduated um, from that school as well. Like, very impressive background. Like, he was a secretary of the Navy, distinguished midshipman graduate. After pilot training, he spent 3 years flying the F-14 and graduated from the U.S. Navy Fighters Weapons School, Top Gun. And he's a veteran of Operation Earnest. It's good to see this kind of stuff too, because if you have good leadership, most likely it's going to reflect on your stock as well. But this is one of those stocks, one of these companies that does manufacture one of the deadliest weapons. If we look at some of the stuff that they've invented, you know, top weapons invented by Lockheed. So they have developed many top tier weapons. F-35 Lightning II, This is a fifth generation fighter designed for ground attack and air superiority missions. Its advanced stealth capabilities and sensor systems make it a highly potent and modern weapon. They have the Javelin weapon system, developed as part of a joint venture. It's a portable and highly effective missile defense system for countering medium range anti tank threats. Hellfire. This multi mission, multi target precision strike missiles provide maximum operational flexibility to ground and aerial forces. They have joint air to surface standoff missile, PAC 3 missile. Look at this. It says the PAC 3 missile uses hit to kill technology to intercept ballistic, cruise, and other airborne threats by striking them directly. Wow. They have the THAAD system, Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, a highly effective missile defense system designed to intercept short, medium, intermediate range ballistic missile threats, both inside and outside the atmosphere. Hypersonic strike weapons. Lockheed Martin is actively involved in developing advanced hypersonic systems, including the conventional prompt strike and the long range hypersonic weapon, which provides long range, high speed, and highly maneuverable strike capabilities. A combat system, a naval command and control system that uses a powerful radar to detect threats and guide missiles. Laser weapon systems. The company has been advancing laser weapons technology for decades with demonstrated capabilities that allow for speed and precision and a low cost per engagement. Recent developments include a 500 kilowatt class laser. Whew, man, that is insane. What countries, well, what conflicts have these weapons been used in? So the F-35 has been used in the Syrian Civil War, the Afghanistan War, Iraq War, Gaza War, Yemen. The Javelin weapon system was used in Afghanistan and Iraq, Syrian Civil War, and even the Russian and Ukrainian War. Hellfire, been used for a while. Panama invasion, they call it Operation Just Cause. That's a funny name to call an operation, Just Cause. The Hellfire saw its first combat deployment in 1989. They used it on Afghanistan, Iraq, and Yemen. And the Joint Air to Surface Standoff Missile has been used in Syria, in Yemen. I mean, most of these weapons have been used in major conflicts. So this company is involved in creating weapons that kill a lot of people. I mean, they also protect obviously people, but has these weapons that they create kill a lot of people. So that's one of Market Mike in the house. Market Mike says, "Yo, this is an evil company for real. Glad to catch you live again. One early riser, so I think most of these start after I fall asleep. Yo, you're not lying, Market Mike. This is an evil company. That is the only reason that has stopped me from investing in this company because their financials be looking right. But yeah, like look at all these weapons that have been used in different conflicts. Um, so in all the conflicts that the U.S. has been involved in, these weapons have been used. So let's see what their financials look like. How do they make money? Oh, Mark and Mike says kind of juicy like Smith and Wesson. Yes, but Smith and Wesson is like small potatoes when compared to Lockheed Martin. These guys, big contracts, but yeah, for definitely juicy. So, guys who are reviewing the 2024 annual statement, the stock trades at with the trading symbol LMT, and it's in Maryland. That's where their main office is. Oh, that's where they're incorporated as too. Okay. Let's see how they make money. Show me the money. So they say global aerospace and defense company principal engaged in research, design, development, manufacturing, integration. Our main areas of focus are in defense, space, intelligence, homeland security, and informational technology, including cybersecurity. Oh, they do cybersecurity too? I didn't know that. We serve both the US and international customers with products and services that have defense, civil, and commercial applications, with our principal customers being agencies of the US government. Their 21st century security vision is to accelerate the adoption of advanced networking and other leading edge technologies into the American defense enterprise. Okay. Market Mike says, "You got any specific personal investing strategy?" Um, Buy low, sell high, Market Mike. That's it, man. That's my strategy. But I do, I mean, there are some sectors I don't invest in though, just because of um, moral dilemmas. So, we covered Philip Morris, cigarette company. Their financials is really good, and that is a stock I would buy, but I'm not gonna buy because of the business that they're engaged in. So the financials is obviously important, but then Lockheed is one of those companies. Even if I look at them and I say, hey, they're doing well, I wouldn't invest because it's not helpful to humanity. You know what I mean? I can't invest in a company that kills people. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm a hypocrite because I probably do some stuff that's not good for humanity too. What do you guys think? If this company is doing well, would you invest? They make, you know, the most powerful weapons, obviously that protect us, but at the same time, they do cause a lot of casualty. So would you invest in that kind of company? It's a moral dilemma. But future focus. As our growth pillars continue to evolve, we are focusing on advancing all domain mission solution through investments in digital technology such as artificial intelligence. Market Mike says, "Give me that fat return. I don't make their decisions." Market Mike won that money. I feel you, man. To each his own. I hear you, man. Well, do you have a strategy, Market Mike? What strategy you use? So these people are focused on artificial intelligence. Man, imagine, when artificial intelligence, I mean, it's already been used now, it's a drone war now between Russia and Ukraine. I was reading about this, where the drones could automatically make decisions based on information that's being fed to them. And this is just an early sign of what's happening. And look at Lockheed Martin talking about AI and weapon systems. Um, so autonomy in crewed, uncrewed teaming, generative design, and other technological capabilities enabling combined joint all domain. Damn, this is a lot of like words I don't freaking understand. Market Mike says, haven't traded in a bit, but I was the king of buy high, sell low. Using the opposite strategy, huh? Hey man, you gotta take some L's before you get that W, right? At least you're honest, man. Most people that this is the problem with investing too. A lot of people that invest talk about just their wins. They don't talk about their losses like that. So I appreciate the honesty, man. Because a lot of people you see, oh, it's all green, but it's like, hold on, you must have taken a hit. Like we all have. But at the end of the day, if your wins exceed your losses, that's the goal. All right. So looking at there, so all right. So additionally, our teams continue to transform our products and rapidly innovate for the future, developing the sixth generation air dominance technologies with skunkworks, demonstrating autonomous capabilities with the X-62A. What? So the F-16 now is autonomous? No freaking way. Oh, I gotta look this up. They're really gonna have a autonomous. Oh, we gotta look this up. So this is something that they're. It's a unique experimental aircraft derived from a modified F-16 that is at the forefront of artificial intelligence and autonomy research for the U.S. Air Force. It's officially known as a variable in-flight simulation test aircraft. While the original F-16 was developed by General Dynamics, so AI testing platform. What? The X-62A is equipped with advanced systems that allow AI agents to take control of the aircraft. This has enabled groundbreaking tests such as autonomous dogfights against human-piloted F-16s, demonstrating the AI's ability to execute complex aerial maneuvers safely. Yo, that is wild. Man, so they got AI flying fighter jets now? Its variable in-flight simulation system allows the X-62 to mimic the flight characteristics of other aircraft. This is used for training test pilots and developing control laws for future aircraft. Oh my god. Yo. So in 2022, AI agents successfully piloted the X-62A for 17 hours, performing advanced fighter maneuvers. This is wild. We didn't even have agents at that point. Look at this. You see, that's how the government is advanced, yo. Wow. Oh my God. This is piloted by artificial intelligence. This one right here is controlled by AI. Oh my God. So the AI is fighting against, this is a monk, but it's fighting against a real life fighter jet. Oh my Lord. Man, that is wild. So this thing right here that you guys see has been manned by AI, and they were doing this in 2022. Wow. Whew. You know what? The future looks exciting and scary at the same time. So creating, all right, so we're looking at some of the invention that they're talking about. It says keys to enabling success of our strategy include developing and investing in differentiating technologies, forging strategic partnerships, including with commercial companies. Okay. business segments. So they have four business segments. They have the aeronautics, missiles and fire control, rotary and mission systems, and space. Mark and Mike, the future is very insane, man. It is. I don't even know if we need soldiers in the future. It might just be AI fighting another AI. It is wild. So aeronautics is engaged in research, design, development, manufacturing, integration, sustainment, support, and upgrade of advanced military aircraft. So they have the F-35 Lightning II. It's a international multi-role, fifth generation stealth fighter. So it's not detected by radar. C-130 Hercules, international tactical airlifter. That's like a transportation airplane. F-16 Fighting Falcon. That's the one we just saw, where there's a human operated one, but then they have the non-human operated one now too in development. So they have that as well. They have the F-22 Raptor, air dominance, a multi-role fifth generation stealth fighter. So this is some of the stuff that they do. F-35 program is our largest program, generating 26% of total consolidated net sales. So that's their biggest seller, is the F-35, as well as 65% of aeronautics net sales in 2024. So the program consists of multiple development, production, and sustainment contracts. Development is focused on modernization of F-35's capability and addressing emerging threats. Because these aircraft already exist, they get contracts to improve it and add new features to it. Sustainment provides logistics and training supports for the aircraft delivered to F-35 customers. So it says for additional information, look at that. Okay. In addition to aircraft's programs above, aeronautics is involved in the advanced development programs incorporating innovative design and rapid prototype application. Their advanced development program, also known as Skunk Works, is focused on future systems, including unmanned and manned aerial systems. We already mentioned that. Missiles and fire control. So this is their other segment, right? This is their second out of the four. Yep. So that's their second segment of the business. So they have the Patriot Advanced Capability, PAC-3, and Terminal High Altitude Area Defense. So these ones are designed to intercept and eliminating incoming threats. Like, you know how Israel, I don't know if you guys know this, but like Israel has, what do they call it? The David defense system. I forgot the name of it. But, all the rockets that are being shot by Hamas, gets intercepted because they have this massive interception system. And then, Trump was talking about building something like that in the US. This is something what they're talking about right here, these interception systems. So they got the multiple launcher rocket system, they got the Apache fire control system, sniper advanced targeting pod, infrared search and track sensors, special operations forces, global logistics support services, hypersonic programs, which include several programs with the U.S. Air Force and Army, Javelin program. All right. Rotary and mission systems. This one is headed by that black lady that I saw. They design, manufacture services, and support various military and commercial helicopters, sea and land-based missile defense systems, radar systems, laser systems. They bought that Sikorsky helicopter system. So those related to the Black Hawk. Oh, Black Hawk is owned by that? Okay. And so they manage that as well. Another part of that segment is integrated warfare system and sensors. Okay, command control. All right, they also engaged in space too, which I was not aware until I read about them a little bit. So space, they have a space segment. is engaged in research and design, development, engineering, and production, satellites, space transportation system, strategic, advanced strike, and defensive systems. Even with the space, it's a weapons, which is crazy. Space provides network-enabled situational awareness and integrates complex space and ground global systems to help our customers gather, analyze, and securely distribute critical intelligence data. Ah, this is more of intelligence. They could track your ass, So they have the next generation overhead persistent infrared, which provides the US Space Force with enhanced worldwide missile warning capabilities. Okay. The Trident II D5 Fleet Ballistic Missile, a program with the US Navy for the only submarine launched intercontinental ballistic missile currently in the production in the US. Wow. The Orion Multipurpose Crew Vehicle, a spacecraft for NASA utilizing new technology for a human exploration mission beyond low Earth orbit. Okay. The Global Positioning System, GPS 3, a program to modernize the GPS satellite system for the US Space Force. Hypersonic programs, the transport layer program, small satellite capability to support proliferated space constellations, early warning communication for the Space Development Agency. All right, so they have, let me see, what IPs do they have? We recently applied for and own a substantial number of US and foreign patents. It says the US government may use or authorize others, including competitors, to use such intellectual property. It makes sense. All right, R&D. It says some of our products require relatively scarce raw materials, such as rare earth minerals. Other important materials and components on which certain of our products rely include aluminum, titanium, specialty steel, carbon fiber, advanced microelectronics, such as semiconductors. Yeah, I wonder how they what their supply chain looks like, because some of these projects that they're working on is so secretive that you would have to have a strict supply chain. Because you're manufacturing high-tech weapons, you gotta have, you know, maybe CIA is helping them. I wonder if they go into detail about that. All right, so human capital. Let's see. They have, as of December 31st, they had 121,000 employees, including approximately 70,000 engineers, scientists, and informational technology professionals. So it's mostly engineers that work at this place. And as of December 31st, 2024, approximately 93% of our workforce was located in the US, and approximately 19% of our employees were covered by collective bargaining agreements with various unions. Isn't that interesting that you could work in one company, same company, but certain people have more rights than you? In this case, 19% are in a labor union and the rest are not. That's so bizarre. So you see, you got to advocate for yourself, guys. Different topic, but you got to advocate for yourself. A number of our existing collective bargaining agreements expire in any given year. Let's see. We strive to hire, develop, and retain top talent in the industry. Hired nearly 9,200 employees. 3,900 college hires. I wonder if they pay a lot, yo. What would be the median pay for Lockheed Martin? Because all of us might have moral dilemma, right? But imagine this company that makes weapons. If they offered you a nice little job that pays a lot of money, what is the median salary for that works at Lockheed Martin? What's your price, guys? If right out of college, ooh, you see, look at that. Look at that. The median salary. This is how they get you guys. $137,000. So they are paying premium, or they just have like really smart people, right? I mean, it could be they're paying a lot, but at the same time. But yeah, that's the median salary is $137,000 for someone at Lockheed. Um, so let's see what else. They have a hybrid workforce. Okay. Employee safety. All right, competition. We compete with many different companies, both within and outside of the defense and aerospace industry. Boeing company, they're not really competition anymore. It's kind of weak. General Dynamics, L3 Harris Technologies, I don't know much about them. Northrop Grumman, yeah, that's a real competition. RTX, formerly Raytheon, that's the biggest weapon manufacturer by market cap. That's probably their biggest competition. Are some of our primary competitors. Boeing is still relevant just because they still, quality wise, it's garbage, but they still are major competitors. Key characteristics of our industry include long operating cycles and intense competition, which is evident through the number of competitors bidding on program opportunities and the existence of bid protests, competitor protest of U.S. government procurement awards. We often collaborate with our competitors through teaming arrangements and efforts to provide our customers with the best mix of capabilities, such as our recently announced strategic teaming agreement with General Dynamics to produce solid rocket motors. Lockheed Martin, AJ says, yeah, man. What's with the question mark, AJ? Is that like, are you surprised we're covering that? Or are you just like, who are they? I'm sure you know who they are. Um, Additionally, a company competing to be prime contractor may upon those airplane MFs. I know, AJ, and you missed it, man. I don't know if, well, maybe you were here. They have an airplane that they invented now, which they're testing, that it's fully operated by AI agents. And it did a like a little mock fight with an actual fighter plane manned by a real person, and it held its own. So, and this was like they started doing this in 2021, 2022. So that's the future right there, man. Yeah, these big boys right here, and they've been involved in all conflicts that the U.S. has been, at least in the last 20 years, from Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, uh, and Gaza, Yemen, all of them, and some African conflicts as well. It says it's not unusual to compete for a contract award with a peer company and simultaneously perform as a supplier to our customer of the same competitor on other contracts. So it looks like they also partner with competitors, if it makes sense. Let's see. It says the competition for international sales for most of our products and services is subject to U.S. government stipulation, export restriction, market access. We compete against U.S. and non-U.S. companies for contract awards by international governments. Okay. AJ says the SR-71. Let's look it up. Who is that? The one that's I saw a lot on. Ooh, was developed. So the SR-71 Blackbird was developed by Lockheed's secret Skunk Works division under the direction of aerospace engineer Clarence Kelly Johnson during the World War to replace the U-2 spy airplane. Let's look at this bad boy. Ooh, that looks badass though, don't it? That looks like a Batman if had an aircraft. This is what it looks like. Oh, mama. That is a sexy plane, man. Oh my god. Sheesh. Oh, that is nice. So they invented that too. That is a sexy plane. Yeah, so they have a secret division. I mean, they work very closely with the US government. And as you can see, they have invented a lot of weapons over the years. A lot of names to remember. All right, government contracts. So they say must comply with and affected by laws. So these laws and regulation, among other things, require certification and disclosure of all costs or pricing data in connection with certain type of contract negotiation. You know, this was the biggest thing that uh, Elon used to get mad about. You know, they used to do a cost plus contracts with most of these arrangements where they are reimbursed for their cost and then they are guaranteed a specific percentage of profit in addition to their cost. That's how these contracts typically used to be. I don't know, it has changed over the years now since that whole thing happened. But that's how it used to be government contract. That's why they were lucrative. So you could just spend as much as you want because you are reimbursed for your cost and you're going to get a guaranteed profit. So impose specific and unique cost accounting practices that may differ from US generally accepted accounting principles. Oh, so they have unique things that actually differ from established standards by US generally accepted accounting principles because that's how financial statements are reported by, is by GAAP. Because there's a recent lawsuit that they had as far as reporting. So I wonder if that's related to that because they have very different things that they do within this industry. Okay. The US government, and in limited cases, certain other governments may terminate any of our government contracts and subcontracts either at their convenience or for default based on our performance. Okay, that is so. These are risk factors. Classified contracts. A portion of our business is classified by the US government and that cannot be specifically described. The operating results of classified contracts are included in our consolidated financial statement. So we're not going to be able to financially tell how much money they exactly making from these classified contracts, but the money would be included within a financial statement. We just won't be able to pinpoint how much they're making from those classified contracts. The business risk and capital requirements associated with classified contract historically have not differed materially from those other US government contracts. So they're saying the amount of money they get from classified contracts is not really that much different from the usual contracts they get. However, under certain classified fixed price development and production contracts, we're unable to ensure risk of loss to government property because of the classified nature of the contracts and the inability to disclose classified information necessary for underwriting and claims to commercial insurers. Our internal controls addressing the financial reporting of classified contracts. Man, this is murky, murky waters right here. It's like well, but even if we fail, we can't really report it because it's classified. AJ says, it's like you're telling me that government contracts are shady. It's like you're telling me these are haram businesses. Absolutely. They absolutely are. Would you invest, AJ, in a business like this, or would you ever work for a company like this if they offered you a lot? So the median salary, by the way, is 137,000, maybe 137,000, maybe not as impressive, but if they offered you like a quarter mil, would you consider working for them? All right, commercial aircraft. Oh, they make commercial aircraft? Our commercial aircraft products are because of they make the helicopters and stuff. Okay. Our commercial aircraft products are required to comply with U.S. and international regulation governing production and quality systems, environmental, climate. Forward-looking statement. All right. Risk factors. We depend heavily on contracts with the U.S. government for a substantial portion of our business. Changes in the U.S. government priorities or delays or reduction in spending could have a material adverse effect on our business. So look at that. It's very important. So we derive 73% of our total consolidated net sales from the U.S. government in 2024. Sheesh. Including 65% from the Department of Defense. We expect to continue to derive most of our sales from work performed under U.S. government contracts. A reduction in overall U.S. defense spending on an absolute or inflation-adjusted basis because of shifting priorities, budget compromises, or otherwise would adversely affect our business. Budget uncertainty, the potential for U.S. government shutdowns, the use of continuing resolution, and the federal debt ceiling can adversely affect our industry and the funding of our programs. If appropriations are delayed or a government shutdown were to occur and continue for an extended period, we could be at a risk of reduced orders, program cancellation, and other disruptions and non-payment. While the U.S. government operates under a continuing resolution, new contracts and program starts are restricted. AJ says, man, I don't know. I can't work for war. If it were up to me, I would be baking croissants if I could. Touche, man. So you ain't about the moral. You value your morality. I hear that. So yeah, they depend heavily on U.S. contracts. If any change in policy, so like Trump being in office is a boom for a company like Lockheed because he increased the defense budget. So anything contrary to increasing spending in government spending on defense is going to affect them negatively. But they talk about the debt ceiling rising. I mean, the debt ceiling is up to the roof now. So from a future business perspective, I wonder how they're gonna, I wonder how they're gonna do, man. All right. So other risks that they're talking about, the F-35 program, which is their biggest money maker. F-35 program comprises a material portion of our revenue, and reduction or delays in funding for this program and risks related to performance schedule and requirements of the program could adversely affect our performance. It says the F-35 program, which consists of multiple development, production, and sustainment contracts, is our largest program and represented 26% of our total consolidated net sales. A decision by the U.S. government's international partners. I mean, what countries have F-35? I'm curious. What countries? What countries currently use F-35? So it looks like all allies. So countries currently operating or set to receive F-35 include United States, United Kingdom, Italy, Japan, Australia, South Korea, Netherlands, Norway, Denmark, Israel, Belgium, Poland, Finland, Germany, Czech Republic, Greece, and Singapore. Even Singapore got F-35. I thought Singapore was like the Switzerland of Asia. AJ says government contract is crazy work at that level. It's totally rigged. AB needs to tell us. He has direct experience. Oh yeah, AB does have experience. He used to work for KLR, right? Not KLR. He worked for. Why did I say KLR? That's an accounting firm. Um. Oh my God. Why am I having a brain fart? Yeah, but I know he worked for a big contracting firm. KBR. Yes, thank you. I keep saying KLR. Yes, KBR. Big, big contractor down there too. I guess AJ's not a fan of KBR, huh? Yeah, all these people, you know what I'm saying? They thrive off of conflict, so it's a very interesting business model because they would technically would want conflicts to occur in the world for the business to keep growing and to make money. So F-35, a big part of their business. So any disruption on that could affect them. They are also subject to extensive procurement laws and regulation, including those that enable the U.S. government to terminate contracts for convenience or business and reputation. Good. I mean, imagine being a buyer, AJ, for Lockheed Martin, man. That is hard. You would have to be like so many laws you would have to follow. You have to be use classified information. I mean, it is not easy to be a buyer, I would think, for a company like this where they're working on classified projects. AJ says thrive on instability. Yes, absolutely. And subpar performance unless it's something like a jet. If not, then we got a Boeing issue. Yep. Yeah, I don't know why these kind of companies though don't diversify a little bit outside of weapons, just so that you are less reliant. Or I wonder if they're like their hands are tied because they're essentially kind of part of the government, you know, the weapons that they make. If these companies are not making it, the US could be behind in innovation and weapons. So I wonder if they also have their hands tied as far as diversifying. Um, so that's a question. I don't know how you can answer that. I wonder if, you know, behind closed doors, if they're really not able to open. AJ says, I agree. A buyer for them must be challenging, secretive, and tedious. You got subcontracted engineering, you got proprietary stuff. Yeah, it really is. It's a lot of hush hush. I feel like you would also have to be very careful of not even divulging too much. It's a very, yeah, I wouldn't want to work for them. Okay, it says undefinitized contract action, UCA. What is that? Which is when we begin performing our obligation before the terms, specifications, or price are agreed to between the parties. The U.S. government has a right to unilaterally definitize contracts, which has to be exercised in the past, and which, absent a successful appeal, obligates us to perform under terms and conditions imposed by the U.S. government. Damn, the U.S. government kind of has a lot of influence over this company. This can affect our ability to negotiate mutually agreeable contract terms. If a contract is unilaterally imposed upon us, it may negatively affect our expected profit and cash flows on a program or impose burdensome terms. Wow. So that is also a risk for them. Damn. AJ says, but the shady side would just say sole source everything and boost up other government contracts and boost up other government contractors. Yeah, I mean, sole sources. I mean, unless it's like super proprietary, or I don't understand why you use sole source. I never understood that. Why would you not? Yeah, I mean, unless there's one company making one specific product, which is not the case. I mean, there's always options. But maybe if there's a situation where one person has acquired the necessary credentials, like the classified stuff that they need to get, like a secret clearance or a top secret clearance, then you might be end up stuck in with one sole source. But yeah, from a business standpoint, sole source is the worst thing. I mean, you really have no option. They could just mark up the price however they want. Yeah, we used to have a sole source on a medical device company, and these dudes used to mark up the price like crazy, like 750%, 1,000%. And then it's like, oh, there's no other options. Boom, you got to pay the price. All right, bid protest. U.S. government procurement laws permit legal challenges, referred to as bid protests, to the terms of a contract solicitations or the award of a contract. We may encounter bid protests from unsuccessful bidders and new program awards seeking to overturn the award. Dang. So then if someone had bid on a project and they didn't win, they could actually protest that bid. Unsuccessful bidders also may protest with the goal of being awarded a subcontract for a portion of the work in return for withdrawing the protest. Bid protests can result in a significant expense to us. Contract modifications or even loss of the contract award, and the resolutions can extend the time until contract activity can begin and delay the recognition of sales and defer underlying cash flows. Oh man. AJ says, who can argue a sole source in private, but these guys are slotted in such a way. I bet they sole source a lot, but at the lower government level, sole source is heavily restricted. Like what's priority, tax money or tech war? Nah, you're probably right. Yeah, this classified, like at that level, they probably do sole source. I would think so too. Like what's priority, tax money or tech war? I mean, follow the money, right? The biggest spending is where the priority is, and war is number one priority. Defense is number one priority if we follow the money. A substantial portion of our business awarded through competitive bidding. Okay. What else? All right, let's see. What other juicy stuff is there? They are routinely subject to audit by our customers on government contracts, including audits related to our disclosed cost accounting standards, rate structure, or any changes to our rate structure. And the results of those audits could have an adverse effect on our business reputation and result of operation. So US government agencies, including the Defense Contract Audit Agency and various agency inspectors, routinely audit, investigate government contractors. So they do a lot of audits. Like many US government contractors, we have received audit investigative reports recommending the reduction of certain contract prices. Okay, all right. So they're saying because of these audits, they're also at risk. AJ says, or sole source threshold would be extremely high, that everything sneaks in. Right, right. Yeah, I could imagine. But then that makes job of being a buyer easier. If it's only sole source, shoot. I mean, do you even need a buyer at that point? You could just just add to cart. What's the why even need buyers at that point? We are heavily dependent on supplier, and if our subcontractors or other suppliers or teaming agreements or joint venture partners fail to perform their obligations, our performance and ability to win future business could be adversely affected. All right, I mean that's common risk. Our success depends in part on our ability to develop new technologies. Okay. Geopolitical, macroeconomic, and public health events and conditions could adversely affect our business. That probably helps your business. Let's see. Geopolitical changes in U.S. government, other nations' administration, and their associated shifts in policy and priorities could also impact our operations and market conditions. Our business is highly sensitive to geopolitical and security issues, including foreign policy actions taken by governments such as tariff sanctions, embargoes, and import controls, global conflicts, including Russia's invasion of Ukraine, conflicts in the Middle East, and heightened tensions in the Pacific region have significantly elevated global geopolitical tensions. Okay. However, if we are unable to increase production to meet demand in the time frame expected by potential customers, whether due to supply constraints, uh, okay, economic sanctions. Yeah, and what sucks about this business too is they can't sell to whoever they want. Like you might have countries in the Middle East that be willing to buy these highly advanced weapon systems, but because of the classified nature of these weapon systems, the U.S. government might say no. But that's probably be a lucrative market for them because the people in the Middle East would be spending a lot of moolah to buy these weapon systems, man. So which sucks for them as a business because we follow official U.S. government guidance as it relates to sales to Taiwan and do not currently expect a material impact to our business from these actions. In 2023, China also implemented broad-based export restriction on certain minerals used in the production of, among other things, semiconductors and missile systems. Uh, that's where China comes in, says AJ. Pakistan showcased it. Why? What do you mean, AJ? Expand on that regarding tech and jets. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like maybe China is able to fill that demand for these other places. Did Pakistan buy Chinese weapons? Yeah, I mean it sucks because Lockheed Martin is one of the advanced manufacturers, but yeah, if you're limited by the U.S. government on the one you could sell only to allies, that limits your market heavily. Okay, let's see. Our international sales could be adversely affected by actions taken by the U.S. government. Look, we are just talking about that, including the exercise of foreign policy, congressional oversight of financing particular programs. For example, the U.S. government has imposed certain sanctions on Turkish entities and persons, which has affected our ability to obtain certain U.S. export permits or authorizations necessary to perform under our existing contract supporting the Turkish utility helicopter program and can impact our work with Turkish industry and our opportunity for sales in Turkey generally. Wow. And they spelled Turkey like in how they spell in Turkey. They didn't spell it like how other foreigners. Like I've only seen it spelled like this when I was in Turkey. Everywhere else, it's spelled like Turkey, but they spelled it Turkey. AJ says India versus Pakistan a few months back. India used French Ravel jets. Pakistan used Chinese jets and downed the Rafale. Ooh, so Chinese jets are superior too, huh? But if you can't buy from USA, get it from China. France is there, but Russia and China have tech too. Fact, that is true. Yeah, I mean, especially when you don't have options. If you can't buy American, then you have to settle for Russia and China. And like you said, it looks like the Chinese one also was able to down a French made one. They didn't spell it like Thanksgiving with stuffing. Yo, they didn't. Um, so you could tell they're trying to be so. But look how their business is being affected. The U.S. government stepped in and said, "Yo, you can't do this with the business with Turkey," and then affects their business. So they're very like strict, like being restricted by the U.S. government as far as sales is concerned. I mean, as an investor, that's not that limits from a growth standpoint. Even if let's say we leave morality aside from a growth perspective, that's not a good thing to see because you don't have a if you're not an ally, you essentially cannot obtain any of these weapons. So growth is limited. Public health, international sales may pose different economic, regulatory, competition, and other risk. So 26% of their sales were international customers. Okay. We may be unable to benefit fully from adequately protect our intellectual property or use third-party intellectual property, which could negatively affect our business. Cyber attacks and other security threats have a material adverse effect on our business. You're talking about acquisitions. What else? What else? What else? What else? Pension funding. All right, we don't need to worry about that. Our estimates and projections may prove to be inaccurate, and certain of our assets may be at risk of future impairment. So they have $11.1 billion of goodwill, which represents 20% of our total assets. And they're subject to annual impairment test. Okay. Changes in tax laws. Let's see. Anything else that's interesting? We are involved in a number of legal proceedings. We cannot predict the outcome of litigation and other contingencies with certainty. There could be no assurance that we'll continue to increase our dividend or to repurchase shares of our common stock. Okay. Governance. All right, properties. So as of December 31st, 2024, 356 locations, primarily in the US. Additionally, we manage or occupy 9 government-owned facilities. So they got locations for aeronautics in California, Georgia, South Carolina, Fort Worth, Texas. For missiles, they got in Arkansas, Orlando, Florida, Lexington. Oh, they have one in Lexington, Kentucky? I used to go to school there for a little bit. Rotary emission system in Connecticut, Florida, New York, Poland, space in Alabama, California, and then corporate is in Maryland. AJ says Lockheed Martin's got 356 location franchises. Yeah, exactly. Franchises. The following is a summary of our square feet of floor space owned, leased, or utilized by business segment. Look at this. I mean, owned is 35.6 in millions of square foot of space, but 17 million of it is owned by government owned. So a significant portion of it, they own most of it, but second is government owned, and then the rest they lease. So they do own some properties, which is so we might see that in a property, plant and equipment. They might have a big numbers in there. Legal proceedings. And then they talk about their executives. We already looked at them. Look at us. 59, 61. Okay. So, oh, they got some color. Look at this, man. Finally a graph with some color, man. Lockheed Martin got some common sense. They got some color. So if you invested $100 in Lockheed in December 2019, you would have made, oh, not a huge appreciation actually. Really? That's it? No way. I'm actually surprised. I thought you would have made more money than that. So you would have made, that's around what, 175? I mean, it's still not bad, a 75% return in 5 years. But compared to the broader market, as you see in the red line, that's the S&P 500. S&P 500 has outperformed this company. And compared to other defensive companies, it has done a little better, but not by much. It's kind of almost equivalent, but at times it has done better. It's the one in blue for Lockheed. But yeah, I mean, from a stock performance perspective, they haven't actually. I mean, you would have made some money, but it's not. You would have been better off investing in S&P 500. He says Dash Jet, MFs. Damn, they did that on Excel. That chart was printed on an HP color print. uh, I know, right? You would think these companies would have better graphs, but I mean, at least we see some color with this company. Some don't even put the effort to do that. All right, let's see purchases of equity securities. Total number of shares. So they have done a lot of stock purchases during the last few years, just within September 30th to October 27. They bought 93,000 shares at $566. Then between October 28th to November 24th, they bought another almost $1 million worth of shares at 546. And then the next, between November 25th, between Thanksgiving and New Year's, they bought another 795,000 shares. So in total, they bought over 1.8 million shares, um, buying their own stock back. And they bought it at a higher price than what it's currently trading. The average price that they paid for their stock is 534. The stock currently trades at 458. So they took a massive hit. You know what I'm saying? That you multiply that. So 534. Let's see. Let's look at their unrealized loss. This is sad. So if we go to a calculator, so how much money they lose from there? So 534 0.67 minus the current price is 459.11. Well, overwrite. Let's put 458. Where was I at? Minus 458. Now, so that's a loss right there, right? 76 is our loss times total number of shares purchased, 1.869968. 1.869968. So that's what, 143 million 370,446. So they took, on paper, they took a loss of $143 million from the stock purchases that they did. $143 million buying your own stock back, a loss. That sucks. That sucks. All right, so business overview. We're a global aerospace and defense company, principally engaged in research design. Okay, we talked about that. In 2024, 73% of our 71 billion in net sales from U.S. government. Damn, their revenue is huge though. All right, let's look at their income statement, man. Let's see how much they make or how much they made. All right, some numbers. You know I like them numbers, man. So they made 71 billion. 71 billion. Woo! An increase from the previous 2 years. Cost of sales 64 billion. Damn, cost of sales is a lot, man. They're barely making a freaking. The cost to make these things is expensive, huh? Margins is tight right off the bat. Jesus Christ. It's almost 90% right there, man. It is. 90% of cost of sales. That is, wow. So there's not a lot of room for error. So gross profit was 6.9 billion. Then, so operating profit, and then they had other income. Operating profit was 7 billion. They did pay $1 billion in interest expense. So that's huge. And non-service, the earnings before income tax. So non-earnings was 5 billion. So a little bit less than 10%. So maybe in cost of sales, they add all of the salary and stuff in there too. Okay. Because I didn't see any, administrative or sales expense. So maybe that's why their cost of sales is that high, but it's still high. Jesus Christ. But it also is dependent on the contract that they engage in. If it's a cost plus contract, all right. So look at this. This is also, it's a very different accounting type of stuff that they use. It says substantially all our contracts are accounted for using a percentage of completion cost to cost method. Under the percentage of completion cost to cost method, we record net sales on contracts over time based on our progress towards completion of a particular contract, as well as our estimate of the profit to be earned at completion. So it says how many percent their services are completed. So from products, 83% were completed, services 16.6, and that's how they were able to make that money. Cost of sales, product cost. Effective tax rate was 14.2. Let's see. All right, so this is their breakdown by segment. So aeronautics made 28 bill, missile and fire control 12 billion. So after aeronautics, rotary and mission systems is their second biggest money maker, followed by missiles and fire control, and then space. Aeronautics is an expensive venture. I mean, actually, all of them are looking at it. The one that's somewhat a little bit more profitable is the rotary and mission system, followed by space. Huh. So operating profit, rotary got 1.9 billion in profit, even though they made less than $11 billion than aeronautics. Oh, and that one is led by a black lady, man. She killing it then. Killing it. All right. All right. All right. Let's see if we could. Let's see if we can look at the balance sheet, guys. Let's see what they're working with. What they working with. They don't have a full. All right. I gotta get the full financial statement. Financial statements. Oh, revenue recognition. Okay. Based on the percentage for the year ended December 31st, the corporation recorded net sales of 71 billion. It's more fully described in note 1. The corporation generates the majority of its net sales from long-term contracts with its customers, whereby substantially all of the corporation's revenue is recognized over time. Okay, we already know that. So the percentage of completion cost-to-cost method requires management to make significant estimates and assumptions to estimate contract sales. At the outset of a long-term contract, the corporation identifies risk to the achievement of the technical schedule and cost aspects. So auditing the corporation estimate at completion analysis used in its revenue recognition process was complex due to the judgment involved. I see. Yeah, whenever there's like a lot of judgment in how you recognize revenue, it is a little bit hard to test. So that's something that they're saying. Ernest & Young is their auditor. Okay. So this is their income statement. We already looked at it. So profit of 5 billion, 5.3. Not a highly profitable business from a percentage standpoint, less than 10%. All right, let's look at their balance sheet. Cash and cash equivalents, 2.4. I actually thought they're gonna have more cash than that. Receivables, 2.3. Contract assets. What is contract assets? Hold on. I want to know what that is. What's contract asset? And I've never seen that in a. This is why I love doing these things, man, because you could always learn. What is contract assets listed in current assets in Lockheed annual statement? In Lockheed Martin's financial statement, contract assets represent the company's right to receive payments for goods or services that have been transferred to a customer, but the right to receive the payment is conditional. This differs from a standard account receivable, which is unconditional right to payment and only depends on the passage of time. Contract assets arise because of the nature of long-term government contracts typical for defense contractors. Under accounting standards, conditional right to payment. Payment from a customer may be conditional on other milestones. For instance, a contract may stipulate that a large milestone payment is only due after a project is 50% complete. If Lockheed Martin completes 40% of the project, they have earned the revenue for that work, but the right to collect cash is still conditioning on reaching the 50% milestone. The earned but unbilled amount is therefore recorded as a contract asset. Man. Oh, that's awesome. That's, I love learning, man. I love learning with you guys. So that's what contract asset is. So total current asset, they got 21 billion, up from the previous year. Property, plant, and equipment. I thought they're gonna be having more of that. 8 billion only, really? Maybe a lot of depreciation throughout the years. Goodwill, 11 billion. So they did acquire the helicopter manufacturer. That's probably how they got that goodwill. So total assets, and they have non-current assets as well. Other non-current assets, 8 billion. Wow. So total assets, 55 billion. Current liabilities, accounts payable, salary, benefits, contract liabilities, 19 bill. So I mean, when you compare the current asset compared to current liabilities, it's very close. So that's not that good. They do have a lot of long-term debt as well. $19 billion in long-term debt. Man, I thought this company was doing way better than this. A lot of debt, man. Wow. And an increase from the previous year. So let's look at the cash flow and then we'll go back to the stock. So from the business, net cash provided by operating activities. This is from their core business, how much they generated, 6.9 billion. They did make some capital expenditures, so they made some investment, about 1.6 billion. Issuance of long-term debt, so they issued some debt, maybe some bonds. 2.9 billion. Repayments of long-term debt, 168. They have bought their stock. I mean, they spent 3.7 billion buying their own stock. And they spent 6 billion the previous year and then 7.9 billion the previous year. Jesus. Dividends there. So maybe they got to stop buying their own stock, man. It's not working out for them. They took a loss last year. You're spending a whole bunch of money on buying your own stock. Like, why? What's the rationale? I don't get it. Dividends paid, 3 billion, 3 billion, 3 billion. They've been consistent with paying dividends. So yeah, all in total, they're sitting at a 2.54 billion cash, but that cash is not from operation. They borrowed more, so that's how they have more cash. So it's not as impressive. Other than that, man, let me see if there's any other thing that is interesting. Let's see if they've been in the news lately. What is this? F-110 Frigate program. Lockheed Martin and Naventia reached key milestone for F-110 Frigate program. This involved the operational integration of the engineering development model of the SPY-7 radar with the International Aegis Fire Control Loop weapon system. So this is a anti-war air warfare defense capability. Okay. Oh, what is this? Oh, it says LMT investor alert. This looks like a law firm. Braunstein, Gewirtz, and Grossman LLC announces that Lockheed Martin Corporation investors with losses have opportunity to lead class action lawsuit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This lawsuit seeks to recover damages against defendants for alleged violation of the federal securities law on behalf of all persons and entities that purchased, otherwise acquired Lockheed Martin securities between January 23rd, 2024 and July 21st, 2025. The complaint alleges that throughout the class period, defendants made materially false and misleading statements and or failed to disclose that Lockheed Martin lacked effective internal controls regarding its purportedly risk-adjusted contracts including the reporting of its risk adjusted profit booking rate. The company lacked effective procedures to perform reasonably accurate, comprehensive reviews of program requirements, technical complexities, schedule, and risks. Lockheed Martin overstated its ability to deliver on its contract commitments in terms of cost, quality, and schedule. As a result, the company was reasonably likely to report significant losses. As a result of the foregoing, defendant statements about the company business were materially false and misleading at all relevant times. Damn. So they are in a class action lawsuit by investors who are saying that they've been misled. Some of the reporting made was not accurate, and they misled investors by recognizing. And this is why it's important to look at financial statement, guys, because if they relied on the financial statement to make decisions on to buy the stock, but they didn't do a good job of reporting everything or doing it the right way, you could be subject to um, lawsuit. I mean, this also opens up the other topic about this is why a lot of companies are also going private. You know what I mean? Because there's stringent requirements on publicly traded companies, which is good. I'm not taking away, but I'm just saying this is the reason a lot of companies go private equity too, because it's a little, those are murky waters right there. Let's see. Let's see what's Seeking Alpha. There's a article. Yeah, I was reading an article that said now, you know, publicly traded companies are supposed to report quarterly. So every 3 months, they have to report their numbers. But there's a new initiative now for them to report every 6 months. Yeah, because it's only in the US. Well, not only in the US, but like in in the UK and stuff, they stopped doing quarterly reporting, although companies choose to do so. Um, this is a very like stringent requirements on these companies. So there is a current um, fight going on to just do reporting every 6 months instead of every quarter, because and they were looking at as far as listings of publicly traded companies has declined over the past few years, and one of the main reasons they cited is these strict requirements. Burned by Lockheed Martin's corporation, contact Levy. Man, so they have a class action lawsuit. So if you have bought the stock and you took a loss, you could join the class action lawsuit. Army orders 2,000 missile killers. U.S. awards historic 9.8 billion contract to Lockheed Martin for advanced interceptors, while global tensions drive unprecedented. Wow! So they just signed a 9.8 billion contract. Sheesh! To produce nearly 2,000 advanced Patriot missiles. Man. The contract involves the production of nearly 2,000 Patriot Advanced Capability 3 Missile Segment Enhancement PAC-3 MSE interceptors, with a focus on replenishing stockpiles. This agreement underscores the strategic importance of strengthening missile defense capabilities amidst global tensions as Lockheed Martin gears up to meet a substantial demand. The contract not only impacts U.S. defense mechanism, but also fortifies alliances worldwide. So currently, 17 partner nations deploy the PAC-3 MSC. The missile's effectiveness in recent conflicts has further highlighted the necessity of maintaining robust defenses. I wonder if this is what Israel uses. The PAC-3 MSC. Does Israel use the PAC-3 MSC? Oh, so Israel does not use the PAC-3 MSC missile segment enhancement. Instead, Israel is decommissioning its older PAC-2 Patriot system and replacing it with its own indigenously developed, more advanced air defense system. Oh. So let's see. What else? What else? Other recent news about Lockheed Martin, guys. Why might the world's most advanced swing roll combat aircraft have Lockheed Martin award? Also, it looks like there's a competition coming their way as well as far as a European jet. Why might the Eurofighter Typhoon, one of the world's most advanced swing roll combat aircraft, have Lockheed Martin award? At first glance, the American defense giant appears secure with the F-35 Lightning program dominating much of the global fighter jet market. But the Typhoon, a multinational European project, continues to demonstrate staying power, modernization, and export potential that directly challenge Lockheed Martin's grip on advanced air combat sales. This competition is not just about aircraft, it's about influence alliances of billions of dollars in contracts. Developed by a consortium of European nations, the Eurofighter Typhoon was designed as a swing roll aircraft able to switch between air to air combat and ground attack. Its agility, advanced radar system, and upgrade path have kept it relevant, even in the era of stealth. Oh, so they do have some competition coming from Europe for the F-35. And F-35 is their biggest revenue generator for Lockheed. So competition coming from Europe is no bueno because they are limited to who they sell. They have to sell to, you know, only to allies. And, a lot of the allies are in Europe. So they're building something inside Europe it's not gonna be good for Lockheed. Name Lockheed Martin stems called debunking patent myths. All right, let me just see second page, and after that, the coolest aircraft to come out of Lockheed Martin storage Skunk Works. Damn, that's 2023. All right, we don't need to look at that. All right, let's go back to the stock one more time, guys. $459. Earning per share is pretty impressive. That's the biggest. That's the most impressive part of this stock. $17.81 earning per share. I mean, that is impressive. I mean, we gotta put that in perspective. Let's. I want to look up what publicly traded companies have the highest earning per share. What publicly traded companies have the highest earning? But this is where also you got to investigate. So they have bought their own stock a lot. So that means there's less shares outstanding. So their earning per share also looks higher, perhaps because of that. So the number could have been inflated. You know what I mean? So you also got to look at that because they have bought a lot of their own stock. So let's see who. Damn, Berkshire Hathaway reports 61,900 per share. But yeah, their stock is pretty high too, though. Okay. Who else? Have next. All right, following Berkshire Hathaway, Max site have the next highest EPS values with $540.88. NVR following. NVR. Oh, is that who's NVR? Damn, what stock is this? Is an American company engaged its home construction headquarters, mortgage banking, and title service business. It must not have a lot of stocks outstanding. Sheesh. One stock is 8,500. My goodness. Let's see what else though. Hold on. These are high. Top. Okay, let's look at the top ones. Um, give me top 50. Because I want to give you guys some perspective on this earning per share because that's pretty high. But again, they have bought their own stock a lot. So that number is could be a little inflated. We have to take that in consideration because they have bought their own stock. Dividend yield is not that high, 2.85%. Not that impressive. So you're so at the current stock price, if we just round it up to 3%, you'd be getting what 459 times what would be about $13, maybe like $14, which is not a lot, you know, for one stock. But then you buying it, the cost of that stock is expensive. So yeah, I'm not impressed with the dividend yield. Earning per share, I'm pretty impressed with, even with, um, even though they have bought their own stock a lot. All right, who holds the stock? Let's just see some insider activity. Um, so first of all, from top institutional holders, Vanguard, BlackRock and stuff don't own this stuff, huh? Okay, come on, cooperate. Insider transactions. Let's see if what insiders are buying or selling the stock, because insider sentiment also matters. Because if you have a lot of people selling in the inside, it's an indication. We don't really have insider purchases within the last 6 months, no reportable data. Let's look at analysis. What do the analysts think of this stock? I mean, they currently have a class action lawsuit going on as well. That is not good. They did beat their quarterly estimate, their last Q2. They beat it by 82 cents. That's positive news. But as of September, 12 analysts are saying hold, 4 are saying buy, and the remaining, which is 4, are saying strong buy. Average consensus is 476, currently trades at 458 overnight, right? So not a lot of room. There's not even a 10% gain, 459 to 476. That's about a $17 up. So if you bought 10 shares, that's $170. And buying 10 shares of this stock is going to cost you almost $5,000. To spend $5,000 and make $170, that's not enough of an upside. Highest estimate is 544. So if it does hit at that point, you would get a decent profit return. I mean, almost 20%. Well, actually, yeah, kind of like 20%. But if we go by the average consensus, which is what's shown over here, profit is not that much. I am fairly surprised, man. Let's see how many people have shorted the stock too. Hold on. How many people? What is the short interest on Lockheed Martin? All right, so it's not a lot of people have shorted the stock. It's only 1.17% of the company available shares are shorted. So, and the reason that we look at this is to see if sophisticated investors are predicting the stock price to go down. And that's not the case. Look, low short interest with only 1.17% of its float so short. Lockheed Martin has very low short interest compared to other stocks. Short interest below 5% is generally considered low, suggesting that bearish sentiment among investors is not widespread. Yeah, so I mean, in conclusion, guys, I mean, for me, this is not an investable company. And I'll just from a financial perspective, first of all, the entry point is expensive, $459. That's expensive. Second thing I would say is the dividend yield is not that high, because from a stock appreciation perspective, this is not a high flying stock based on their 5 year performance. It has not done well that much compared to S&P 500. So it's more of a dividend play, and their dividend yield is low, 2.88%. That's not a lot. Um, their balance sheet is not that impressive. They have a lot of debt, don't have a lot of cash, and they're highly dependent on U.S. government contracts and very dependent on different. I mean, this era right now, Trump administration is very favorable to Lockheed, but outside of that, with the debt ceiling going up, that's not going to be a good climate for them in the future. And the biggest concern also is the class action lawsuit that's going against them right now. There's a massive, looks like, movement in that direction, and I don't know how material that's going to be, where investors are trying to recoup their money. That is also something negative. It's not favorable, um, to the company. They have also competition from a development standpoint. F-35 is their biggest seller at this point, but there's an airplane coming from the Europe that is almost equivalent based on the article that we read, and it was built by a European um, like group, um, and there's rising competition from China and Russia, and they also have restriction on where they could sell, so it limits your market. So I don't really see where their growth is going to come from. Really, I there's a massive competition. Your balance sheet doesn't look that pretty. You're highly dependent on the U.S. government, and defense spending just keep going up and up. But I don't know how real that is, considering the debt ceiling is already really high. So how many years are you gonna keep depending on the U.S. government? It just doesn't seem sustainable to me. At least if your balance sheet was really nice, you could say, okay, you could sustain a long-term drought from U.S. government contracts. But when your business is over 70% dependent on U.S. government contracts, if you don't get U.S. government contracts, your business is going to suffer heavily. Uh, I honestly wish that they diversify, because the technology that they use, I mean, they make amazing aircraft, they make amazing weapons. So they have some really smart people. I'm sure they can make products that are good for not just for conflict and war, but maybe use that ordinary people could use for commercial operations and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, man, this is not one I would invest in. I thought they were doing a lot more better than I thought. So this is why it's always good to investigate these matters and get to the bottom of um, of the financial statement, because you get to see the full picture. And yeah, I'm not liking it. It's weapons week, guys. I won't be here tomorrow, but I'll be here on Wednesday. If there's any specific weapons company you want me to cover, let me know. I appreciate you rocking with us, being here. If you have any suggestions, improvements, any specific companies you want us to cover, let me know, man. I love reviewing these companies. I know sometimes it might get a little boring as we get nitty and gritty over the numbers, but we like doing that over here. Hopefully, you learn from some of the stuff that we're sharing with you. Again, thank you for being here. Shout out to AJ. Appreciate you being here. Shout out to Money Mike, man. Appreciate you for being here as well. And any new viewers and stuff, thank you for rocking with us. Please consider subscribing and liking the page. I'll be back on Wednesday. I haven't picked a company yet, so if you have a suggestion, we're doing Guns Week, following from last week. So let me know what company you want me to cover, and we'll get down to it. Again, guys, thank you again for rocking with us. It's the Profit Report with AB and Steve. Have a good night.